Hello, everybody, and welcome to another TFI podcast brought to you by myself and MK, as usual.
Ooh, episode 4.
Not another one.
Okay, so for the okay, it's already off to a bad start. Okay, so we have ourselves a special guest today. We have Joe from Crosshairs Productions.
Who's Joe?
Joe Mama.
We're really starting it off with that.
I have come here to cause confusion and delay. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you misunderstand. You act like this podcast is always on time. And remember when we were supposed to be recording like the second week of every month?
Yes.
For context, we're recording on August 21st. All right, so yes, we have Joe here from owner of the YouTube channel Crosshairs Productions, creator of the fan famous, stop motion series Ascension.
I prefer the term much maligned.
You know, it's funny, Joey. Where the fuck did Joey come from?
Listen,
that's his name on Discord.
That's very presumptive of you to call me Joey.
No, I was thinking Joey because I have a friend in the Spider-Man community named Joey.
Friends.
He doesn't. He just
Okay.
They're imaginary.
Thanks, guys.
All of this is staying in, by the way.
So, funny thing is, back when I first started TFI Creations, before it was even called TFI, it was just called Transformers Interstellar, I looked at Joe's work like a threat. Like he was competition.
That.
Yes, like he was competition. Because like
it wasn't until like 2018 where you finally were like, maybe I shouldn't see that.
Yeah, no, because like I started making Transformers Interstellar, but I never looked at other like stop motion stuff works, and I stumbled across Joe's, and I was like, huh. And I got even more jealous because some of my commenters were commenting on your stuff. Like, this is the best thing ever. I'm like, you traitors. You traitors. And then, but the thing that nailed it was, oh God. I think it was shortly after we finished the Interstellar series. I actually auditioned for one of your projects.
Did you?
I did. I was turned down, and you went with another TFI member.
So that would have been Ascension, wouldn't it?
I think so, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I don't think it was actually you, because I sent an audition to your Facebook page, and it wasn't actually you who responded to me.
Oh, wait, yeah, it was probably because I know that Max and maybe one other person have like moderation privileges on there, so like
Yeah.
and we also have like an auto respond thing.
But like when I heard another TFI member's voice it was in the RC one.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
I was like, how dare he turn me down? So I saw you even more as an enemy, as a threat. But yeah, it was like I remember, Joe, like we started talking because I went on a live stream one Christmas on TFI. And you were in the chat, and then you were like, "Ayo, you twat, collaborate with me."
Mm-hmm. And I've been saying that to this day.
How many years has it been?
Oh God, don't fucking remind me. I don't know.
It's okay. It took me 3 years to get my first, from knowing Sam and befriending him to get my first collab.
But see, but that's the thing though, Joe, is that once we collab, the bit dies.
You don't get to spin it that way.
No, this isn't how this works. It just means that when we do one collab, it means we do another one afterwards.
You don't get to spin. No, we can't collab because if we collab, just at that point, just tell them like I don't want to.
It's the sexual tension. It's the romantic subplot that's strung along for 9 seasons in the latest CW
Will they? Won't
superhero
they?
soap opera. Yeah, we will finally collaborate at the heat death of the universe.
Hey Sam,
Yeah?
I'll ruin the bit for you so you don't have an excuse now.
What?
This is technically a collaboration.
But yeah, and then I remember, but like the main reason why you started to work really closely with TFI is because MK and I were doing a Return to Earth, and it's funny.
Rawr.
The whole Beast Wars concept that we did for Return to Earth being in the same continuity as Interstellar was not originally going to be what it was. The Beast Wars project I was going to do was going to be in the same continuity as Rollout. and it would focus on the same sort of plot where it's years later, they're the descendants, they go back in time. Until MK was like, Sam, Interstellar set it up. Do it in that.
I think I was also just so desperate for a real collab with you. Because I was like, because I wanted to do Beast Wars really bad, but I remember like we had all these pitches for things. I'm like, none of this is working. And then Sam, you kept going like Beast Wars, Beast Wars. I'm like, I need to sit down and just think about Beast Wars. And then I remember, I think I watched the Interstellar remake, and I went, that's it. The way it ends, that's it. And then I texted you shortly after. I'm like, hey, dummy, check this out.
And then we got into voice casting, and it was a close toss-up between you, Joe, and Stinky Blue Rat.
That was it. Yes, I was up against the rat, and somehow won.
It's a neat coincidence that Stinky Blue Rat ended up being Megatron in Finest Hour, like years later.
He kept begging for Megatron roles. That's the thing.
He did.
He got it eventually.
He finally got it. No, and then a year, was it? Yeah, it was a year later. We brought you back for JP93.
Which is my favorite role of yours.
So, I had a lot of fun with JP. So, was Megatron actually the first? Was that the first time I voiced for you?
Yes, I think so.
I can't recall any other time.
I think so, yeah, because I saw you as competition up until then.
Oh my God. Up until he helped you. No, that's the thing. Until you give Sam something that he needs of you, he doesn't register you.
Oh,
like,
wow.
You're either competition or you're not.
Oh, it's that sort of friendship, or is it? Okay.
Yeah.
You're either competition or you don't exist.
Or you're an unpaid employee.
Well, you're what?
An unpaid employee.
This is true. This is true.
Welcome to late stage capitalism.
There's some F over capitalism.
I'm an unpaid intern. If you watch Phineas and Ferb, I'm the Carl to Sam's like major monogram.
I know what Phineas and Ferb is.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a reference. I hope at least one person who watched Phineas and Ferb understands.
I watched Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, but Sam, you wouldn't remember Phineas and Ferb.
You're so right.
What did you have for breakfast this morning? Exactly. So the fun thing about JP93 that I really like that we casted you for is we kind of had one idea for like the voice of JP93. We're gonna kind of go. I'm really sorry, Steven. You know this story personally, so I don't know if Sam's gonna leave this part in, but I'm sorry, Steven. Originally, we were gonna go with like an Australian voice because I forgot the reason why we were kind of leaning towards that.
Is it one of the characters in? I think it's Muldoon. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, was he Australian? Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
So we were going to kind of... But then, I started... I'm going to take full credit for this, by the way, because you and Matt came up with, like, the really good dinosaur aspects. JP was a lot of my doing. And so, like, I remember as I was coming up with different lines and ways for JP to react, it was kind of like the original character we thought of, we weren't really... we didn't think it was going to work, so we're like, okay, we need to think of a new voice actor from the ground up, and that is where, you came in, Joe.
Yeah, it is very interesting how, like, speaking from like a writing perspective, like how characters evolve as you're writing the script. Like you get, like I've had that with writing Shattered Glasses, like new kind of like personality traits and quirks have sort of emerged from just writing and having fun with it. But yeah, JP was super fun. Also, complete coincidence that he shares my initials. But I love.
Oh my god!
Yeah, have you just realised that?
I never put that together. No, I never.
But yeah, no, he was super fun. I love being like a kind of snarky, kind of like. I don't want to be like, oh, my one personality trait, my one voice is Treadshot, but he was like a snarkier Treadshot. Yeah, great fun to get my snark on and call Bulkhead a prick and all that kind of stuff.
That's the thing that, going back to what MK said, the whole thing with JP93 is that in the original concepts, we were going to have him be like a more Muldoon character that would have suited the hunter aspect and therefore the more Australian accent. But as we're writing the script, and JP just becomes this really snarky little bugger of a character, it just, the more seriousness just wasn't fitting his tone. So Joe, when you came in, it's like It's like, what's it gonna do? Radio for backup. You nailed every line and every joke.
Technically, we had to make him re-record one line because I was very picky about that.
What was the re-record? Remind me.
It was the "Welcome to Jurassic Park." Your original take, you did it more like the movie, because in the script it's just that line. So you did it more of like a whimsical, like where I was like intending for it to be incredibly snarky and sarcastic. So remember, I was like, "Hey Sam, I think I just need him to record this one line," because that was like one of the lines I had pitched in the writers' room. I'm like, we have to have him say the "Welcome to Jurassic Park," but we have to have him play on it. It's not whimsical to him. It's sarcastic. It's this is what I deal with every day.
I love JP93 so much, and I love, and I have to of course give credit to Spooky D-Man as Bulkhead. The personality between those two characters. You can tell they hate each other, and it's a perfect representation of you and I, Joe.
Oh yes, absolutely, yes, I fully agree with that. I think it's really it's a testament to Spooky Demon and the writing as well, like how well like that relationship plays off. Considering that we didn't record together, we recorded separately. And you really get a sense of like their sort of like loathing for each other. It's tangible. It's a beautiful thing to witness. I'm very proud of JP actually. As in like doing that particular role. It's probably one of my favorite like voice acting roles that I've done so far.
What I like about JP a lot is that like something I always like when actors do is you write a character. We wrote JP, but then like you can put the words to paper, but the actor is what really brings them to life. And I feel like the actor always adds another layer to the character. And that's like your voice and your portrayal of JP has definitely impacted how we've written him, like how we are going to write him in future follow-ups and things like that. And at this point, I genuinely don't see anyone else fitting that character.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. On that note, actually, of you mentioned, speaking about. You were speaking about like the actual actors really bringing like the characters to life, which is their job, but you discover new things when you kind of hear the lines being spoken. I've had really great experience with the Shattered Glass cast, which is the film I'm working on at the moment, my own one, not yours, Sam. But we've been doing live recording sessions, which is a big like change in tactic for the kind of like the pre-production like the production like timeline and style for the channel, and it's amazing like how many things we've kind of like end up rewriting, rediscovering, changing. Like, it doesn't sound right when it's actually said out loud. It's that whole like Harrison Ford lines, like you can write this shit, George, but you can't say it. And we ended up actually improvising for one of the scenes because of our I won't spoil it. I'm going to leave it until the actual film to see if anyone can work out what line it may be. But we just the fact that these guys have been doing a couple of like sessions together and just like shooting the shit, just chatting, having fun, just like banter, that kind of stuff, really helped them just kind of like bounce off each other super well. And it's just one line that one of the characters, like one of the actors said, which was so inspired that we just had to keep it in. And it was so funny in the moment. I really hope that people appreciate the comedy when that is actually released.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, especially because like I know from experience, like it's recording lines separately, obviously over the internet and stuff, getting different time zones, getting people to do like live group sessions is very difficult, but it's so worth it when you can pull it off. Just getting the actors to bounce off one another. Yeah,
we've had it's been especially difficult because we've got myself, Aiden, who you've worked with, and Keej, all in kind of UK time. Wolf, Chuck, and Gage are all kind of scattered across the US. And then poor old Isaac Ryan, our Optimus Prime, is all the way over in Singapore. So it's like almost like a 12-hour difference between him and the US. Fortunately, there's not that much. This not really spoilers. There's not that many scenes that Isaac shares with the Decepticon cast, but it has made it difficult, trying to work out logistically how we can get everyone sort of line up for different things. And I do my utmost to make sure that nobody is kind of excluded if we can really avoid it.
I mean, just trying to organize us three with our different time zones was kind of a hassle. Just trying to organize anything with Sam. It's a 3-hour difference.
Why don't you tell me about trying to organize things with Sam in long, excruciating detail?
Great. The amount of times I'll be like, hey, let's record the podcast. Oh, I can't. Oh, what? It's like, oh, it's too late for me. Okay, but you're playing video games and yelling right now. Yeah, well, it's different. I'm like, you're literally more quiet on the podcast than you are on Fortnite, but okay.
Hey Sam, why don't we collaborate on a story or something? Just radio silence for 3 months.
No, you don't understand. This is your chance. You have him in a let's just the whole collaboration on the podcast. Let's go.
All right, no, all right, hang on. All right, people in the comments, this is your time. This is your moment. Right, I need you to go into the comments section and type in there, Sam, get off your lazy arse and collaborate with Crosshairs Productions. Let's do this. Come on, let's go. I'm taking control.
What's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen.
Don't cut that, Sam.
I'm not gonna cut that.
Don't you dare cut that. I'll cut you. I'll cut you out of your own podcast.
What?
Yeah, it's mine now.
Yeah, he just snips your name off of it somehow.
Excuse me, but there's no I in TFI creation.
There's literally an I in TFI creation. Also, this is my podcast, you son of a bitch. My favorite thing, I've been trying to get Sam to do a TFI podcast since 2019, and then he was like, oh, we'll do it, I guess, I don't know. And then I finally gave up. This last year, and then I finally get the text from him, hey, you want to start the podcast now?
He didn't even do it over the pandemic, which was just like the era of podcasts.
Exactly.
You had 1 moment to seize the opportunity, and you failed.
I can just see the TFI sub count declining because y'all are outing me right now.
I out you every podcast.
If it's declining, then I hope that they're heading my way.
Oh, siphoning subs from you, like yes, take them away from you, Sam, and give them to me.
Yes.
No, actually, Joe, that does remind me of a thing that I always say to people when we talk about you. You are literally one of the OGs of the community.
Don't say that. I feel old.
No, but I'm older than you.
Yeah, but when you started later.
Yeah, and he also doesn't act it. So.
But what? Are you saying I act old?
No, that's the opposite of what I'm saying.
Oh, you saying I'm a child?
Yes.
Thank you. Because when I first started exploring the Transformers fan film community, like Joe, yours was the first ones that I found. So you were my first enemy. And
again, why do you just see everyone? You're not me. Target acquired.
No, I swear. I go around the community commenting and liking people's animations because they're great. I love character
Our
development.
first interaction was in 2015. You commented on an old video I made in high school, and it was just I sprayed a figure with a water bottle, and you went, "That's cool." And then I didn't talk to you for 3 years, and somehow it led to this.
Yeah, I guess. But Joe, it shocks me that you are one of the OGs, but I am confused. Your sub count deserves to be so much higher.
It's because I never release videos.
But you still have so many.
My sub counts only go up when I'm regularly releasing episodes of Ascension. And it's plateaued for the last kind of 3 years, but I'm kind of fine with that. I've got my audience, I've got my loyalists, and I'm making the stuff I want to make. And you know what? I'm changing my tactic for the future, for my future films. I'm hoping that will bring in new people, but I'm sort of okay with where it is right now. That's not to say don't subscribe to me. Please do. But it's very strange, you saying that I'm one of the OGs. I mean, it's. I guess I I guess I am, but I'm also, I hate to sound like I'm kind of blowing my own trumpet and like kind of inflating my ego.
I'll blow your trumpet.
Could you not? There are children watching this fucking podcast.
They should have left a long time ago.
They should have left a long time ago.
That is the most genuine laugh I've heard Sam ever do. What the fuck? I'm drowning you in Matt's pool next year.
But yeah, yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, I am sort of one of the OGs, but I'm also like I'm also one of like the longest surviving. I think people like TFX or formerly Night/2020 is kind of, I mean they're like kind of like in and out after like kind of like long portions of silence. By the way, if anyone's wondering, I am friends with Mike, and he's alive. That's he hasn't died. He's probably got other stuff going on, so don't panic, don't harass him. But yeah, like that kind of that old guard, like Night/2020, Daniel 3CB, Mirasol Twins.
Oh, Mirasol Twin! Don't even get me started on them.
Yeah,
they were my childhood.
They've all kind of moved on, and I sort of envy them for that because they managed to get out of the game when they were kind of in their prime, and I'm still here 14 years later. God, it's the midpoint of my life, Sam.
I don't want to make you feel. I hope this doesn't make you feel worse, but like when it comes to like the first ever content I watched on YouTube, like in that it was like you, and then I know you will know this person, Joe. I don't know if Sam will. I watched this content creator, Shadow Elite.
Yes,
I know I know his actual name because I'm friends with a mutual friend of his. But like, I'm just gonna use this to bring up. You guys should check out Gear Shifter's stuff. He's a cool guy, and he's also friends with Shadow Elite, so that's fun. But anyway, random side content or comment. I just always like plugging his work whenever I have a chance. But yeah. So it's like it has been a while because I look back at like. I mean, I will have been on this platform for like 10 years in like 2 years, and that, so I guess 8 years now, and that feels unreal.
There are people who are subscribing to my channel who weren't even born when I started it.
Oh God!
It's funny you mentioned that. Today, August 21st, is the 9-year anniversary of TFI.
Hey! Get out while you still can.
Oh, Sam's not getting out.
But also congratulations.
Thank you. But here's the thing, like, I don't want to get out. Like, it baffles me. I mean, I can understand when some creators stop because life gets in the way, but I can't understand creators that stop just because they want to. Like, I can't imagine myself stopping. I love doing this too much.
I'm the same. I want to keep making these films for as long as I'm passionate about it. And so it's become incredibly important for me to make things that I really love.
Yes.
Now,
Definitely.
So I think people are kind of aware that Ascension takes a really long time to make because I've decided to do it episodically, and that's stupid. But that is the fact that it's nearly an 8-year-old show is a huge reason of why it's such a drag. I to be honest, like, I've kind of fallen out of love with it, and I don't want to do that. I want to, which is why I'm kind of making Shattered Glass, because it's something that I found myself getting really passionate about, and so put my energy into that.
Yeah, I know with Shattered Glass and like Target Alpha Tri, and they seemed like ways that you seemed a lot more passionate about that than like continuing a new season. I'm sure the like million comments don't help.
Oh yeah, no. Every time someone asks where's Ascension Season 3, I delay it another month. And I can't tell you if that's legit or not because it takes forever to make anyway.
We should start doing that with Jurassic Spark and Beast Wars. No, wait, they're already taking too long to make. Never mind. I can't.
But it's like one thing you said, Joe, is exactly the way that I view like fan film creating is like keep doing it as long as you're passionate about it. Because like if you don't love what you're doing and you're not passionate about it, then I think it's time to stop. And
it shows in your work too.
Yes, definitely. And like I view that with. For example, all of our crossover films that we're doing, like the Gigawatt one, Jurassic Spark, I I will only make a crossover film if I love the other product that we're crossing over with. I love Jurassic Park to death, which is why Jurassic Spark was so much fun to make. And the same thing, I love Top Gun, so Maverick was fun.
Jurassic Spark was an interesting one because it was not a Transformers film. It was a Jurassic Park film with Transformers.
It was. It really was. And the same thing can be said with our current project, Hearts of Steel. If I didn't enjoy the comic, I probably wouldn't be making the film.
Oh shit, I gotta do my lines.
You're mainly the one we're waiting on now, MK.
I can't believe it's taken you this long to get round to them. Seriously, step up your game.
Joe, you did yours today. I don't want to hear it.
I can't hear you.
Sam, I still will never let this go for Sam. Sam owed me lines in 2018.
Yeah, here we
go. He
go.
didn't give them to me. He only gave half of them to me in October of 2019. That whole project fell apart. But
Christ, the
because of me?
No, because of a lot of voice actors that did similar things to you.
But mainly you.
Oh, so I'm just part of the mess.
I won't name names, but like I was working on a Marvel project a couple years ago because this was in the height of Infinity War, and I remember I got some Marvel Legends. I'm like, I want to make a fun video, and like I casted a bunch of people. I filmed 90% of the video, and then like either half my cast just straight up ghosted me, and the other half took, like, I think I could count on my hand the people that turned in their lines. It was like 3 people. And by the time Sam got me his lines, the footage was so old that I was like, I can't take this. Like, I cannot use this footage anymore. And then it was just like, all right, I give up. I'm like, I'll come back to it maybe in a couple years, but immediately it was like, yeah, let me do a Marvel project, let me do some and then immediately I'm like, I'm not touching this again, never mind, this was a mistake.
I don't know why, but this just reminded me that, like, I forgot to mention there was another project that Joe was in for TFI, and that was Finest Hour. He was Bulldog.
Yeah, I love Bulldog. That was a really fun one.
Tally ho, chicken fuckers!
I don't know where that came from.
What's great is you got Bulldog because Sam robbed you of the one you wanted.
I wanted Cogman. Why wouldn't you give me Cogman?
Because I wanted to be the Cogman. I wanted Coggers.
Big
Don't
Cogman.
call him Coggers.
But no, Joe, if you watch Finest Hour, you're a tally ho chicken. You know, actually made it in. Just the tally ho part.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought you were going to say the second part made it, and I was like, where?
It's the end credit
like
sequence.
Thrown it in like in a heavy sound effect scene where you could barely make it out. Just like
Chicken from.
yeah, you're just explosions.
I don't know where. For a while, Joe, that was one of the soundboards in a separate server.
I remember that
chicken thing.
Yeah, it was.
Tally ho, chicken fucker.
Oh my god.
I remember because I didn't know what that was, and I just clicked it one day, and I was jump scared. Like, what the fuck is this?
Brilliant. That's my lasting legacy. I'm okay with that.
The amount of times, like, just always with Sam, always leaving improv. He'll throw it in somehow.
That's the thing. I will. I really will. And I think
most of my lines end up being improv because he gives me a script where I'm like, oh, here's your lines. You have 3 lines. I'm like, cool. This is a 30-second recording. I'm just gonna fucking say whatever I want then, and then that's how we get Gigawatt Blur.
it really does happen. And the funny thing is that one of the fellow TFI members who voice acts us frequently now, he improvs like almost every single line. He'll do a twist on it, and that's Cyborg Raptor. He will always, like, the first 2 takes of a line will be how it's written. Then he'll put a bit of a twist on it, and 9 times out of 10, I will use the one that he kind of twisted.
Honestly, I would like to get him on an episode of the podcast, especially like this would have been a nice one if we had more time and more, because like he was there. It was you, me, and him that were there for that, like, God, what was it, like 6-hour writing session for Jurassic Spark?
Yeah. Man, first writing session for Jurassic Spark, I actually have like a screen recording of, was so much fun.
Yeah, you post some of it in the, like, behind the scenes.
I did. It was a blast.
No, I'm just, I need to look into like a writing session of some kind for like my future projects as well, because like right now it's still very much kind of like a solo thing, and occasionally I will post in my, like, the Crosshairs group chat as like, what do you guys think of this? Or give me some ideas, or like, no, Larry, we can't put Astro Train in this one, you can't voice them. You cannot voice a girl. But I think it's something that I want to explore.
I think
as well
Larry
in the
has the
future.
range for it.
What's that?
I think Larry has the range for it.
Oh yeah, he does. I just want to deny him.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think that sort of writers' room thing will be a really good thing to explore with some of the future projects, especially as it's going to be like, I'm going to be focusing on making films, standalone stuff.
It is fun and it is useful, and like while the actual scripting process is usually just me, when we come up with the whole idea, like we'll get into a call and we'll have a shared document that's just basically scene 1, scene 2, all the way to the end, and we'll write out what we think works, write down key lines that works. And when you do it with multiple creative people that are loving the concept that you're doing, you can bounce off of ideas, and sometimes one of them will notice a plot hole that you might not notice, and then you can and then we fill each other's holes.
I'm gonna leave it there.
Okay. I feel like I had something I was gonna say, and then you just...
It's beautiful and poignant, and then Sam started talking about holes.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. He does that quite often, actually.
Or talk about holes,
Yeah.
or...
Yeah, the amount of the amount of times you'd send me a script, like he'll send Finest Hour, and then like the final thing is Optimus going on a rant about holes. I'm like, you gotta rewrite that, man. you can't put that many holes in one script.
That was the original line for it in Finest Hour when Optimus kills Unicron. It wasn't borrowed from a leak from Rise of the Beast. It was just, I'm gonna fill your hole.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, but my holes are the answer. Can you start talking about your holes? You're making everyone uncomfortable.
I don't like how long we've fixated on this particular thing. I hope all of this gets cut.
But yeah, that's my obsession with holes. But the other thing with working on fan films and such is it's also the hardest thing is deciding on what lines of dialogue works, but also what kind of music will fit that theme, because there's all sorts of there are music tracks that can make or break an emotional scene. And Joe, I remember you had a panel.
Yes.
At what? TF Nation?
TF Nation.
For soundtracks?
Yeah, as of recording, it was a week and a bit ago, so it was on the Friday of TF Nation. And yeah, it was myself, Dan Storm and Julia J. and Hanshin, both of whom have composed things for Ascension Verse projects. Yeah, we had a little segment to talk about some of the original music that had been created for those projects. So in Dan's case, it was Target Alpha Trion. For Julia, we talked about the Ascension theme itself. And yeah, we somehow managed to speak for nearly an hour on that, which I really had no idea how much mileage we get out of that subject, but we got to the end. I asked if there was time for questions. There was a very definitive no. It's like, okay, goodbye.
Well, see, no, that's the interesting thing, because when I saw that you had a panel again, I was like, oh, that's sweet. Because the first time I had a panel, I came to you for help because you had done a fan film panel beforehand. But when I saw that you were talking about making soundtracks for fan films, I'm like, that's an interesting topic. You're not just talking about fan films. You're talking about a specific production side of fan films. What made you want to choose music over everything else?
So this panel wasn't my idea initially. It was Julia's suggestion. She did. So she did a music set for the Saturday evening entertainment. And I think she approached the organisers and asked if we could do a panel about making music for stop motion, and they said yes. And so I kind of okay, I guess I need to be part of this conversation then. Okay, I had no plans to put anything on for TFN, no films and no panels. So it's oh, okay, I guess I'm doing one on the Friday. Cool. So so it was Julia's suggestion. But I'm very, very glad that that she did put it forward, and that we managed to. I'm very pleased that we managed to make it entertaining and informative. At least I hope that we did. It wasn't just us talking. We were kind of there were demonstrations of the music that had been made. There was some, there was some. I mean, people can go and watch this now. Actually, the panel is up on YouTube, but there were some very early. It's TF the Space Bridge online. If you go onto my my TF Nation wrap up video, then there's a link in the description there. Yeah. So
always got to plug what you got to.
Always got to plug it. Yeah. So we showcased some very early concepts of the Ascension theme, which like no one has ever heard before, which is really cool. Because it's like we started off with this really cruddy piano version, which I played on my family piano, which has immediately placed me in the upper middle class tax bracket. And yeah, it was just like the initial sort of melody, the and then there were two more clips that we played, which was the themes slowly starting to evolve into a proper sounding track, getting our heads around like the tempo and the time scaling, and then going into here's the final thing and playing the finished theme song for Ascension. So yeah, that was a really cool thing, because it's stuff that's been kind of hiding in my computer for nearly 10 years.
And this was your third time like doing something for a convention, because I know you had a panel in the past, and then didn't you premiere Target Alpha Trion at an online convention, or like on?
I've done 4 panel sort of panels over 10 years. I did a panel with a couple of the YouTubers for Auto Assembly 2015. I think it was 2015, which was the precursor, or it was kind of what TF Nation evolved out of. So it was me and a couple other UK YouTubers talking about stuff. I can't remember what it was. Then I had the Stop Go panel in 2019. Yeah, and that was, first time I probably kind of like broken down my my whole process. And then the big broadcast of 2021 was Target Alpha Trion. It just so happened that I was working on it at the time, and the time frames for TFN and that film kind of lined up quite nicely, so I could go to the organisers like, I have a project in the works. It's going to end up being about 45 minutes long. I would like to offer it as part of the entertainment for the big broadcast, and I had it ready for August.
Sam's also been a part of 2 panels himself.
I got inspired to do a TFCon panel in the first one was 2022, Joe, because you did it, and I watched your whole video. I was like, damn, that'd be really cool to like go up there and talk about that and kind of share the passion behind it. And then when I watched it, you shouted me out, and I remember, because this is when I was remaking Interstellar, because you brought that up, and you're like, he's remaking Interstellar, yada yada. So I was like, holy, this is really cool. Then when I had the opportunity to do the same thing, I reached out to you, and you sent me all the slides and the panels, and I essentially just ripped you off. And just kind of followed the same sort of structure.
That sounds about right. Just like a general working relationship, I think.
Yeah. And
Sam's very take, and then what's giving?
Not.
Oh wait, I can't insult him. He got me a legacy. He helped provide me with a legacy Cosmos, so I legally cannot insult him.
I can insult him. Fuck you, Sam, stupid idiot. Not even.
Yeah,
really,
you're right.
Not even really Canadian.
Okay, that's true.
Don't remind me.
I'm gonna out him on his own podcast.
Oh my god! Speaking of panels,
I know where this is going. I know where this is going.
I need them to upload this year's panel, because at TFCon 2023 they did a YouTubers panel, and it was Vangelis, Ultra Primal, Emperor Kumquat, Sam, and then Comet and Cam. That was all of them, right? I know Toy Guy bounced. Anyway, there was a part that I want them to upload it, because I want to see if they cut this part out, where because Sam brought us all with him, and we are the obnoxious crew that we are. At one point, Comet and Cam and Sam, you guys were talking and you mentioned you were British. And like I forgot what led to it, but then I just remember Gavin next to me out loud just goes, "Ew, British!" Like the whole panel laughs, and Common and Cam just glares at him, like just looks down and looks like the whole panel erupts in laughter, and he just looks at him like not even like a mad, more like a oh, like a slightly like sad, like oh.
I hope it's kept because like I believe it's Vangelis who's doing the editing, and he said it's like 99% done. So I really want to watch it and see if that makes it in.
I think about it. Times like Sam would be like, "Oh, here's a bad video that I don't want anyone to see," and I just pull the link up.
Yeah, no, there was literally a point at the panel where someone asked, it was in the Q&A section, somebody asked, like, what's one of the one things that you're not proud of you made that you didn't like? And I mentioned one of the original Interstellar spin-offs we did called
Blitzkrieg, which is still on the channel. Go check it out.
Yeah, Blitzkrieg. And the minute I mentioned Blitzkrieg, the TFI crew and friends started cheering.
Yeah, Blitzkrieg sweep! And then I pulled the link out and immediately faced it towards you guys.
Yeah, and then I said out loud, "Nobody look it up." Vangelis pulls out his phone. I see people in the audience pulling out their phone to start searching for this video.
I showed the link for it. I provided everyone with the title and the link. No,
But doing the two panels was a lot of fun. Like I enjoyed this year's one with the YouTubers because I got to bounce off of like what they do and like the jokes that we were all making together. It was a lot of fun. It was also less pressure because like I didn't have all these eyes looking at me at the same time. And I like the fact that when I was up there, a few of the audience members didn't know who we all were. So I feel like this was a great opportunity for all of us as creators to be like, hey, this is what we do, this is what they do. And I do hope that like at least everybody on that panel got some new subscribers that day.
Yeah, I had the similar sort of thing. There were a bunch of people who I don't think I'd ever, or at least I wasn't aware, were familiar with the stuff that we made. I either came to see the panel or like, in the convention hall, kind of recognized me. It was like, oh, how did your panel go? I would generally suppose, like, oh, cool, yeah, really great, thanks for asking. Yeah, it's really cool to like, obviously get like that recognition, but also kind of these little things kind of like to draw people in, and it's an opportunity for people to explore an area of the fandom which is like it's very niche. It doesn't really get covered a lot, and I think it can sometimes be sort of like looked down upon. I think if it's I think a lot of people kind of immediately associate Transformers fan film or Transformers stop motion with a set made out of this is not a diss, by the way, a set made out of studio series like boxes, and your sofa in the background, the TV on. Yeah, the dog or the cat just kind of like lies down halfway through the shot.
Yeah. God.
So God. It's nice to get what I perceive as a niche part of the fandom for it to get that spotlight. It's really cool. It's nice that it gets that respect.
And I think something neat we brought up with both panels is like both TFI and Crosshairs Productions, those channels, I feel we use, it's not just you and Sam. There's a lot of people that go involved. Like you mentioned, your panel was a music one, and you mentioned Dan and is it Julia? Yeah, Dan and Julia like helped put together, make the music for Ascension. So without them, Ascension wouldn't be, what it was. Just like with TFI, there's a lot of crew members that help write and, obviously give our voice and things like that help shape the film. So I think it just would be really neat to talk about like the collaborative aspects that come with making fan films like this.
Oh, because it's not a one person show, and like I notice a lot of people are shocked when they realize how big of a team like TFI is, and like other things as well, because like it's just you can't do these on your own, and I have to give an immense amount of credit and love to everybody that helps me out with TFI, because like again while the filming and the editing and the VFX is me, that's just because what I perfect in. It's just like MK pitches some really good ideas, and again, the voice acting improv that he does also is just like it completes the MK. Every single character MK voices, he brings to life, as we just discussed before, because there's improv, there's personality there, and then there are people that give input on the stories and the scripts. And again, the whole writing experience with Jurassic Spark when it was just, me, Cybergraptor, MK, and then Coolerate would give us some input here and there. It just helped make a solid foundation for this film. And you can't do this alone. You can start alone, but you'll continue with a team.
Yeah, everyone starts at the same place. I think everyone started from the 480p camera with the cardboard backdrops, and like just you like making this like solo. But we get ambitious. We get we want to make stuff that is like higher quality, higher caliber, and that it becomes absolutely necessary to build out a team of people. But not just a team of people, like a team of people who are willing to tell you when what you're doing is wrong, or well, maybe not wrong, but like people who are willing to say no. That is a really vital part of any kind of creative team. We've got very different kind of like setups in terms of like the people that we work with. Yours, you mentioned that you've got a writing team, where and kind of like you kind of specialize in the special effects and obviously like doing the visuals and stuff. I kind of do a lot of the heavy how do I don't want to put this in a way that's going to sound like I'm disrespecting the people I work with.
It's all me, and those other people.
It's all
nothing.
me.
I'm me.
I don't need them. I can do this myself. But it's the crew is not as heavily involved in the writing as they are with yourself. But there is definitely a lot of creative input from them. In terms of like I've over the last couple of years I've started to really sort of like try and get their input as much as possible on kind of like drafts of scripts. Like, okay, here's the latest draft of Shattered Glass. Tell me what you guys think. Give it a read through. Anything that's kind of sticking out. Anything I've missed. I am notorious for missing important stuff like that.
Our writing team actually like changes up like per project. Like whoever has. Like, basically, there are some projects that I kind of helm, like, alone. Like, the Rollout trilogy was mainly just spearheaded by myself. But by Rollout 3 was one of them, was one where I kind of spearheaded that myself while still getting some, input from, other TFI members.
Like adding Hot Rod?
Like adding Hot Rod, of course. Finest Hour was another project that I spearheaded mostly alone. I did get a lot of, like, again, all projects I do these days, even if I'm, like, spearheading it alone, I will still get input from everyone else. But a project like Hearts of Steel, for example, I don't know much about Hearts of Steel. I've read the comic book and I really enjoyed it. But MK, you said to approach Carlos, who is another TFI member, because he loves Hearts of Steel and knows most about it. In fact, he had some Hearts of Steel figures before I did, so I approached him, and we came up with a story together that respects the comic book, but tells an original story. Okay, so with that, we're kind of nearing the end of our time here. MK, did we have any questions from the last podcast?
The first was, when will you release Hearts of Steel?
Oh boy. Okay, so I really, really, really want to say September, like late September. But Hearts of Steel is one of those projects where it's very technically complicated. It's funny because Jurassic Spark took a month to make because the dinosaurs don't require any VFX. JP93 himself required no VFX. So that was easy to do. Hearts of Steel has a lot of digital transformations, a lot of flying scenes, a lot of like figuring out how to make the trains work. So technically Hearts of Steel has taken a while. I want to say the end of September. That is the goal I would say stick to. If not late September, then we can at least do early to middle of October.
All right. This next question is very out of left field. It's how, it's basically us asking how we feel about BioShock, and because they're asking if we'd ever do a BioShock Transformers crossover. Now, I don't think you're even a fan of BioShock. I don't know how that would work.
No, I've never played BioShock. It is something I wouldn't mind trying out.
In order to make a BioShock Transformers fan film, you have to buy at least one Octopunch.
Yes.
And that's that is the entire like prerequisite for it. That's all it needs. Just get an Octopunch and away you go to do whatever the fuck you want.
It's happening now just because of Octopunch.
Yeah. But no, it's the shitty little Prime Master.
Oh, not even the what was it, a collector's club or whatever? The like
No, not even the Shatterglass
one?
Octopunch, no, because he doesn't even have the dome helmet.
The next one, what are you going to do to make Beast Wars Interstellar? Well, I assume we're going to get toys. We're going to put them in front of a camera. Well, first we're going to put words to a page, and then get some voice actors.
Well, I mean,
this is a complicated process.
I mean, to say one thing, there is something we're going to do with Beast Wars Interstellar, the actual series, is that there's going to be some neat references to the OG Interstellar. Weren't we thinking of doing that?
As much as I love the sequel to Jurassic Spark, I do think we should also spearhead Beast Wars Interstellar, because it's been a longer time since, yeah.
I wish I had this level of foresight. Like, I'm going to do this next year. I can barely plan for, like, next week.
Speaking of Jurassic Spark 2, the last question is, are we going to have a Jurassic Spark 2? Which I think we've officially announced it. But, yes, there is a sequel for Jurassic Spark 2. In fact, we've always had an idea for a sequel, but then those certain toys were revealed, and everyone was like, hey... we talked about this on the last episode, but everyone was like, hey, are you doing something with these? And we're like, yes, we've already started writing. Plus, we also have... I don't know if we ever announced the spin-off, too. It's not a spin-off, it's more of an epilogue. Kind of, we want to do something shorter. As, like, it's not a direct Jurassic Spark 2, it's more just the silly, goofy adventures of JP and the Wreckers trying to capture a Spinosaur.
Well, it's like, you know, how there's Marvel Spider-Man, then there's Miles Morales, and then there's Spider-Man 2. Kind of like that.
It's 10 minutes of Bulkhead's shattered, broken corpse just lying there.
So yeah, this has been a good time, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This has actually been very, very fun. I'm glad that we actually managed to talk about, you know, interesting, productive things instead of just calling you rude names and bullying you for an hour, which is still fun.
We may not seem it, but we are kind of professionals. And by kind of, I mean not really, but we can somehow we somehow make it work.
That's the biggest lie anyone has ever told themselves is that they are professional.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that is the end of this episode. Thank you all for listening in, and thank Joe and MK for being here. MK, again, big thanks for keeping this going. I'll say that every single podcast. Again, our socials are on the screen here if you can see it. Again, this has been fun. We'll catch you all in next month's podcast in September. And thank you guys for joining, and thank you for listening. Fare thee well.
Funny ending quote. Oh, shit.